All right, so we are for round number two. A little late start. I thought I was recording this whole time, but it turns out that I wasn't. So we're up against blue-red. I kept a hand. We're gonna kill this Spellstorm right here in response. Attack for two and say go. So my opponent seems to be on some kind of blue-red control deck or blue-red fairies deck. I kept a hand of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is what I kept. Alright, so they could be getting a Pyrite Spellbomb here. Oh, no, they got Flare Husk. Alright, well, we're just going to go ahead and Chain Lightning, especially while they're tapped out of red. And then we're going to go ahead and play this Goblin Cohort, I think. Actually, we'll go ahead and play Rakdos Shred Freak. The reason why I'm not going to play Cohort is because, one, I think getting in 6 damage is just better. And two, let's minimize that, because if I draw Goblin Bushwhacker, I can just play him and Bushwhacker in the same turn. So that should be good. But Chain Lightning was quite potent off the top, will not lie. Oh man, multiple Stagger Shock decks. It's amazing. I didn't know that Stagger Shock would be so prevalent. Um, so I could take a turn off, and I could not. I could get in for 7 and put my opponent to 6. But I think I'm just going to play 2 creatures here and attack with both my dudes. He'll trade with the Rakdos Shred Freak, but I think getting in 2 damage is worth it, since I'm going to have 3 creatures. And then if my opponent just taps out for a Mole Drifter, I don't win, but I'm close. I won't win, but I'm close. Alright, drew a land, unfortunately, so we're going to go ahead and play this Heel Cutter. And hope that my opponent doesn't have another Stagger Shock or just doesn't have anything. Galvanic Blast. Okay, I don't know what my opponent's on, but it's definitely some kind of hardcore anti-aggro deck. As is most decks you'll run into in Pauper these days. Uh, you know, but can't say I expected to see so many Stagger Shock decks. That's a new one. Alright, well, we drew another land, so getting a little unlucky here. If you can call it getting unlucky. But, another creature, another haste creature, we should be in okay position. Just need to hope that we top deck better than our opponent in the next few turns. That's all we can really do. As is always with any red aggro. Alright, so I'm still just going to dash this out. I think it's better than just playing it because it allows me to get in this turn. I think my opponent drew off a Think twice and then didn't play a land. I'm not exactly sure. Alright, just get in for 4. So if my opponent just has counterspells in hand, any creature I top deck next turn, I win the game, which is good. Because obviously counterspells don't kill creatures on the board. Alright, Jackal Familiar. If my opponent just has 2 counterspells in hand, I win the game. Guess we'll find out. Alright, well, we don't win the game now because of Spellstorm Sprite, but at least they have to chump block. They can't equip the Flare Husk at instant speed, so that's good. So now my opponent will hopefully go to 2 life, and see where we go from there. Well, that was surprising. So my opponent played Ghostly Flicker to flicker these 2, so I'm guessing he's going to double block. Double blocking, in my opinion, the wrong creature. I'm not sure why you double block that one. That one can't block or attack alone, so I would have easily just double blocked the Goblin Cohort, but to each his own. Maybe my opponent knows something better than me. Alright, well, we drew a Bolt. I think I'll do it in my opponent's upkeep, just so that if, they have to spend mana, it's in their upkeep just in case it matters. See if they have a counterspell. No, they drew their own Bolt. So we win the game, which is cool. So we're going to bring in Pyroblast. Could bring in Electrickery, but I'm not exactly sure if I want to do that. And I think we'll also bring in a couple Smash to Smithereens. And the reason for this is I think Smash killing Flare Husk, or maybe even killing just a random artifact and dealing 3 damage is probably better than most things. I think Fire Blast is probably not very good on the draw. I think we can only bring in 2 Pyroblasts. I think that's fine. I think we could take out an Inner Flame Acolyte and probably a Goblin Heel Cutter. Now, the reason I want to keep in 2 Chain Lightning is because they're only 1 mana and they kill things like Trinket Mage. But I could definitely see an argument for wanting to take them out because of my opponent playing red. But I personally think that keeping them in is fine. So this hand is kind of unfortunate because we don't have a 1-drop. But I don't think it's mulliganable because we have 2 hasty 2-drops. A Pyroblast and a Lightning Bolt. Whoop. And I'm going to make sure to play my land instead of clicking multiple times. Maybe my opponent will play something blue on turn 2. They did not. So we'll go ahead and play this little devil. He's not a devil though, is he? No, he's a human berserker. Oh, I guess it's this guy, not... Oh, that's a horse. I never actually looked at the picture before. Now with good eyesight, anyway. So I'm playing that guy instead of the Mud Brawler cohort just because he gets in for 2 instead of 1. It's basically the reason. So my opponent casts Think Twice instead. So if they cast Trinket Mage, I'm going to Pyroblast it, I think. I don't think I want to waste my burn on it. Of course, it depends on what my opponent casts. Yeah, so there's Trinket Mage, probably getting Flare Husk again. As Trinket Mages tend to do in Pauper. I personally don't like this. No, they got a Great Furnace. So they might have a lack of land in their hand. So as I said, I'm going to Pyroblast it, and then I'm going to play Cohort, get in for 4. Stop doing that. So for right now, we only got to get our opponent to 9, which is good. So hopefully getting my opponent to 9 won't be overly difficult. But we'll see, won't we? Alright, so my opponent said go after playing a land, and I'm going to play this Conscripts now because if my opponent decides to Bolt or Galvanic Blast or unfortunately Stagger Shock this guy, at least I'm still getting in for 2. If my opponent has a Spellstutter Sprite, I will kill it in response with a Lightning Bolt just to kind of get some value. It might make him play a second Spellstutter Sprite. They did not. So they can't Stagger Shock, so we'll get in for 4. Does my opponent have another removal spell? I hope not, as every Red Deck Wins player ever said. Nope, they do. They have 2 removal spells? 2 removal spells, okay. Got 4 cards in hand. So far, from my point of view, they're on all spells because they Trinket Mage for a Great Furnace. But we do have a lot of burn and a lot of creatures. So we'll see exactly what happens. Alright. Drew a mountain. Just gotta say go now. It's always annoying, I'll say, whenever this happens. Yep, flashback to Think Twice. Think Twice is such a good card. It might not seem like much because it's 5 mana basically to draw 2 cards, but it really does get you far. Ooh, my opponent another removal spell. Shocks. Shocks everywhere. Alright. What does this do? Whenever a fairy miscreant enters the battlefield, you control another creature named it, you draw a card. Okay. Whatever. Little 1/1 that I, for right now, don't really need to care about. If my opponent goes Ninja of the Deep Hours, I'll care about it. Now, the funny thing is, I could Chain Lightning my opponent, and then we could have a Chain Lightning war for a little while, which would be cute. But I guess we'll see on that one. Nope, no Ninja of the Deep Hours as I suspected. Oof, another one. Jeez. Alright, very, very flooded here, but, you know, we're not out of the woods. If we're only taking 1 a turn, we'll be okay for a little while. Well, a Pyroblast, not exactly what I wanted to draw. But we've drawn 6 lands out of 18. So we have 12. So more than a third of our deck are spells. And with a Pyroblast, we should be able to hopefully make something happen. Alright, well, we weren't a good percentage to draw a land there, but we drew one. I think we weren't a good percentage. Looks like our opponent's a little flooded too, but I think from our point of view, getting flooded's a little more not understandable. Alright, we're going to dash this guy in because, you know, with this guy, it's just better to have a haste, dude, and get in for 5, especially when I have 6 damage in my hand. Go ahead and Pyroblast that. See what my opponent has to say. If they have a Spell Stutter Spray in response to that, I will Lightning Bolt it, of course. Oh wait, is this a fairy? Oh, you are a fairy. I did not think of that. Should have Chain Lightninged it a while ago. Alright. You got me. I will take it. Can't attack. Just gotta say go. See, now this is where goblins can sometimes shine, is because, you know, you have things like Goblin Matron. Ooh, another land. Jeez. Alright, well, we only got 10 lands left. Mountain. Wow. Okay. Oh, go to Chain Lightning this Trinket Mage and see what my opponent decides to do. I'm hoping they copy it. I mean, it's unfortunate I'll go to 7, but there's not much I can do about it. Oh, he's blinking it? He's blinking that and a land. That's more unfortunate, but alright. I guess you can bolt it instead so he doesn't get to search for anything. And say go. Drew a Goblin Cohort. I think if my opponent counters this, I'm going to concede, because there's no... Actually, there's no really conceivable way that I can win, but see if my opponent shows me another card or two. Now, I know I drew 9 lands. My opponent drew 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, yeah, I drew 9 lands, my opponent drew 10, but they also dug deeper into their deck, and their spells were a bit more powerful, so, you know. So I think Chain Lightning is actually not as good as Fairy Trickery, Elect Trickery here, Fairy Trickery. And, I think the Smash Smithereens are still fine, so I'm going to keep them in. As far as the rest of that goes, I think I'll actually take out a Heal Carter for an Interflame Acolyte just to try and be a bit more aggro. And I'll keep the Pyroblasts in, since they seem to actually do some work that game. Alright, well, we're going to keep this, since this hand is actually pretty good. It's got a couple of removal spells, it's got a couple of 1-drops. Just got to hope that the rest of our deck actually has cards we need in the correct order that we need them in. Alright. It's not a horrible start, but more and more haste creatures is what I need right now. That's what I need. That we're going to Elect Trickery, leaving up the Lightning Bolt. Who to bolt? All right. So this matchup seems really bad, and the reason for that is Spellstutter Sprite is particularly good against us. So it's a free creature plus a free counter spell, and also because they just have infinite shocks. And also because we keep drawing land, which is actually starting to get really, really aggravating. I think this is a bad matchup. Sure. Alright, well, I'm not going to Lightning Bolt those. That just seems like it's not really helping me too much. Alright, well, Cohort was a very good draw because it was a haste creature, so we get to attack with this guy now. My opponent's double blocking, so I'm just going to Lightning Bolt them. Lightning Bolt one of them to save my guy. And hopefully get somewhere in life. Yep, the complete opposite. They drew all 4 of these? Jeez. Alright, well, I'm going to kill this so if they can't draw a card in response. And if they counter it, I'm actually considering scooping here, because while my opponent was tapped out to kind of mitigate the board. And my opponent retaliated with a Lightning Bolt. Alright. Depending on what my opponent has in hand, this game could go on for quite some time. Never mind, they're playing a Mulldrifter. Which probably means I lose. Which is unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Alright. At this point, it's pretty unlikely that I can win because I'm playing anything I draw off the top while my opponent is drawing cards to draw multiple cards, so they're technically drawing just 2 answers a turn. And, yeah, I think the game is all but over. I not and played a Bone Splinters, said not to block, and, yeah. This deck kind of has to synergize and use all the cards together. And, I can block, but with 6 cards in my hand, I'm pretty dead.